Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, which means it must be time for Tap Talk. I am excited this week. Actually, truth be told, I'm excited every week. I really like doing this program, but I'm excited this week because one of our great and most enduring partners is joining us, Alissa Adams from West Acres, because West Acres has a huge milestone year, which actually is the same milestone year that I have. So we're going to bring Alissa on and talk about what West Acres has going on for their big year, and more importantly to this conversation, why the arts are such an important piece of that building and of the mission of that family and that business. So let's get Alissa on. Good morning, Alissa.
Good morning, Dana. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. I did not know that this was your milestone year also.
It is. I like to, when I discovered that West Acres and I were the same age, I don't know, another big anniversary of yours, probably the 40th, I thought, well, all right, that makes sense because I can remember being pretty young and driving from Wapaton to Fargo, getting all dressed up because we were going to the mall for the day. And I can remember driving on gravel roads to get to the mall, which at the time really was out in the middle of nothing. Nobody could have predicted, 45 or 40 years ago that West Acres would become the center of what is now this massive metropolitan community we live in. So I have fond, lifelong memories of West Acres.
I love that. That one of the things that's been fun about celebrating this birthday, this milestone, is hearing memories like that from so many people.
Yeah, well, it's a major game changing player in this community. I mean, not only does it provide a communal place for people to shop, but West Acres as a business has made such a concerted effort to be a good community collaborator in so many ways and to be so much more than just one huge footprint in the middle of town now. So Alissa, talk a little bit about what's the mission and values that drive the work that you and the team at West Acres do?
Yeah, I mean, so you touch on that community connection, and that's, at the core of who West Acres is it's very important for us to be connected to the community that we're within, whether that be through the arts or through giving back or making sure that we can be a place that people feel safe to come, excited to come, it feels comfortable to people. And so that community connection component truly is what drives, a lot of the decisions that we make and how we strategically have moved forward over the past 50 years.
Yeah, it's incredible. So if I think about the 12 years that I've been connected with the Arts Partnership and connected to West Acres, primarily because Carol Schlossman was on the board of directors when I started. And while Carol's not an employee of West Acres, she does a lot of work with West Acres. But I hosted our first annual meeting before it became the State of the Arts. The first one that I hosted was in West Acres in the beautiful courtyard. Everything was closed down. And so it was a private event inside that beautiful space. And then we did something that I think was really interesting. We did an art crawl through the mall in the space. Mark Weiler from Etche led that because I think people don't always realize what a substantial art collection West Acres has acquired over its time because it's just always been there. So what can you tell us specifically about this real commitment to not just having visual art inside, but to the performances and all those other pieces that you use the space to lift up and highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just quickly circle back. You mentioned Carol, who I proudly will claim as my mother, and she
I thought
is
I'd
one
let
of the
you do that, not me.
she is one of the key reasons why West Acres is so connected to through the arts and with the arts, and she's been a strong strong advocate of the arts in the community. But so yeah, a lot of people don't realize that West Acres actually is home to the largest collection of regional and local art in our area. I think we have, well over 80 artists represented. We have art throughout our halls. And, we see that as a way for our community to be able to connect to experience the arts when in a really easy environment where they might not always be able to do that in other areas of their life. It isn't always easy for everybody to, walk into a gallery or walk into a museum, but we feel like we can provide this, safe, clean, happy, vibrant, free environment for people to connect with visual arts or performance arts. And so we host local performances. We have, art throughout our halls, but we also see an opportunity to have people engage with artists, whether it's through artist studios or our artist in residence program. As much as we are able to bring art into anything that we're doing or arts organizations, we see that as a real asset to the community.
Boy, and I see your commitment to that as an enormous asset to the arts sector, in part because you are not doing what sometimes happens to artists, which is, boy, you know what? We're going to give you exposure. 6 million people a year come through the mall and you'll be exposed to all those people. That's great. Exposure is fantastic and it's important. And it is a piece of what artists of all stripes and types need. But you financially support artists. You buy art. You don't just borrow art to hang. You provide real space, and then you put your marketing arm behind it, and you put your brand behind the opportunity for artists to be actively working in that space. So many of our partner artists have benefited from your artist in residence program, which I think is such a fascinating and smart maneuver on your part, because if you have open space, whether it's because a store has moved to a new location or you're between stores or all those things, why have that space be dormant when you can activate it with an artist? It's so smart. I mean, you don't need me to tell you it's smart, Alissa, but I so appreciate it.
Yeah, that's been a really fun endeavor, the artist in residence program, who I actually have to give credit to Emily Williams Wheeler, who was our very first artist in residence. And she actually brought the idea to us. And so we are very grateful that she did that. We just wrapped up our 11th artist this summer. And it's been so fun to see how every artist uses their time in the space differently. Our only major criteria is that they're engaging the public, they're in that space, they're activating it, and that they're working within that space so the public can see what they're doing, and then they leave a trace piece behind when they're done. And it's been fantastic, the stories that we hear about the feedback or the way they're able to connect with people that they weren't able to prior to being in that space. And it's a very public space.
Yes, it is.
To work in.
Yes. And open to everybody. I mean, so people may or may not know that we have this incredible space inside your mall as well, called Aptitude, which is on the same wall as Best Buy. But that idea that the mall is free and safe and accessible and comfortable and all those things, I think what made me so excited about working on and developing that space with West Acres was that very idea, that rather than assuming that people needed to come to the arts, which is often how the arts are taken in by people, is someone has to go to a gallery, to a museum, to a performance space. We found a way through the generosity of West Acres to bring art to where people already are. And that is a real game changer, because what it does is it demystifies artists and the arts. And it says that art belongs everywhere and belongs to everyone. And that is huge.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes people have this perception of it feeling like, it's not for me, or it's not approachable for me. But when they can come out and walk into an artist studio or walk into Aptitude and truly see somebody working and have a conversation and relate, or in some circumstances, it's actually seeing themselves reflected in somebody's work. I think it's been, the customers and the people that come into our space get so much out of it. And, it's always our hope that the artist does as well.
Well, I can promise you that the artists are taking enormous amounts of things from it, because the experience is just kind of one of a kind. So, Alissa, let's talk a little bit about the difference. And I'm not trying to diminish other malls. But let's talk about the difference between a West Acres and your philosophy and many other malls in the country, which are, I mean, you can hear from a lot of people, oh, malls are dying. West Acres is not dying. How have you done that? And how has it mattered both to your bottom line, not, specifically, but to your success and then to the community success, do you think?
Yeah. So one of the key differences with West Acres compared to a lot of, shopping centers in the country is that it's locally owned, it's locally managed. The people that are working within the mall and that are, the partners of the shopping center are truly engaged in not only West Acres success, but the community's success. And I think that's really important. There's, we have a mentality of with new ideas, let's try it. Let's see how it works. I don't think that always flies in other, corporations or businesses when you have, Wall Street to report to, for example, with purely just earnings. But, our mentality is that trying these new ideas, investing into the culture of our community and creating these vibrant places and, partnering with artists, it actually, in the long run, by doing those things, you provide a greater, cultural return, and the money will follow. That's not to say that we, aren't making strong efforts towards leasing and engaging the customer, and we have a responsibility there also. But I think that local connection component, connecting to a community, having that life behind just the brand is truly why West Acres has been successful for 50 years.
Yeah, I think that's a really lovely way to say it. So tell us, this is your actual birthday month, correct?
Yes, I'm August 2nd. West Acres turned 50.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday, West Acres.
Thank
So
you.
tell me, what else are you doing? Do you have other things planned for the year to celebrate this really seriously big anniversary birthday?
Yeah, so we did some fun things right around the week of the birthday. We had some, live performances with local musicians, and we had some, some kids activities. Right now, the shopping center is decked out with kind of 70s themed decor, which has been really fun. We have, Herbie the Love Bug in center court, and we've been able to partner with some local creatives to create some really cool spaces, our birthday lounge. But we will be having other special events and kind of promos as we move into the holiday season also. No details quite yet on what those
Okay, that's all right. So you referenced moving into the holiday season, clearly the busiest time of the year for the mall. So what are the things that people should be looking forward to in these the last quarter of our year and this really hectic shopping center, particularly after 2 years of there being a fair amount of distancing or not having access at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, in moving into the fall season, we'll have Fall Fest in October, which has historically been called Fall Tap Fest, which with a mixture of things you can drink on tap and also local music. But we're expanding that this year to include, arts. We actually want to talk to you about some ideas that we have for that. And then moving into the holiday season, of course, local performances. We always have 80 or plus local groups come out and perform during the holiday season. And we're looking to even double down on the experience when people are in the mall this holiday season to make sure it just feels really magical for people when they're there.
Well, it is always a beautiful, beautiful space. And even, I just want to lift this up in case people don't know this, even your Santa's Village was designed, again, going back to Emily Williams Wheeler, by a local artist.
Yes.
I mean,
such a cool project. I mean, she sketched out the entire set. We found a company on the East Coast to create it, and it's been fun. Giving it a more, we moved it out of center court during the pandemic into kind of its own inline space and created this really intimate experience for families to come visit Santa. And I mean, truly based on her vision of what that could look like. So.
Well, I will just say, Alissa, that if everyone said yes the way that West Acres does, yes to trying something, yes to investing in something, yes to maybe something that seems like it is not an obvious fit, but again, has that short-term investment for long-term sustainability component to it, this would be a community that supported the arts in just extraordinary ways. So thank you for all the work that you've done to advocate and literally support the arts in your time at West Acres. But thank you just to West Acres for being such a community asset and a particular supporter of the arts. It's just amazing.
Thank you. It's an honor to be able to work for a company and with people that truly care about the community.
Mhm.
And it's been great. We are so grateful for what the Arts Partnership does in our community, and been able to partner with you guys throughout the years. It's been fantastic.
Well, I look forward to the next 50. I don't know that you and I will be here in August of 2072. Probably not. I mean, we might be here, but we might not be talking on Tap Talk.
Yeah.
But the next years should be as good or better than the past 50. So congratulations again. And everybody else, if you haven't been out to West Acres in a while, go and celebrate with them. It's a major milestone. Any business getting to 50 years is a really big deal. So go and celebrate the space, enjoy the art that is there, and get to know this enormous community asset. Alissa, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Dana.
Everybody else, I'll see you next week. And thanks as always to 702 Communications for the sponsorship. See you next week. Bye-bye.